Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. I'm gonna try to pronounce the name without any errors. So Tina, so that one is easy. Sigurdardottir. Daughter. I think the daughter is like not that like completely pronounced, right, Tina?
Well, pretty close.
So what's the real version of it?
Tina Sigurdardottir.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sigurdardottir. Okay.
Sigurdardottir. Yeah.
Sounds good. I love the
Mm,
accent. It's
mm,
Icelandic. So
very
Tina is
Icelandic.
in Iceland for those that didn't know. She's CEO at Trappa, an online speech therapy company. And we're gonna talk about that today. So I'm excited about this. Coaching, education, telecommunication, healthcare. We will talk about that today, startups and everything in between in Iceland. Hopefully the Icelandic startup community there. This podcast is brought to you by podpar.com. If you want to start, scale, be invited to podcasts like this one, find sponsors for your podcasts. Podcasts are cool. You can learn from people on the pod. You can get also a bunch of people in your network. That's my best way to do it. And you can grow your network with leads, with clients, and everything that comes with podcast funnels and backend. So podpar.com if you need help with that. Tina, can you help me introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about Trappa?
Yeah. So I'm a speech pathologist. My main work is working with children and helping them with speech and language. I got involved with Trappa and co-founded Trappa in 2014. And at that time, we were just serving like a really tiny place in the West Fjords of Iceland. So Iceland is quite rural, and there is lack of speech pathologists all over the world, especially in Iceland at this time and still. So we knew there was like a lot of work to do just to bring services closer to people. So that's what was our main goal to increase access to services, because like it was before, there was maybe one speech pathologist flying 4 times a year to these rural places, and I don't consider that to be service really. So, and little by little we expanded, and now we have contracts with over 10 municipalities in Iceland. We've done hundreds of speech therapy sessions online, and we're using a platform called Cara Connect, which was developed like alongside Trappa. And this is now a whole new experience, this Cara Connect thing. You should actually look it up. And we're using this platform for our meetings, online meetings, all our notes, and so on. So this has been almost 10 years now. I've been in this business, and it's been really demanding at times, but always a lot to do, because there's a lot of always a lot of um, people always want to come to us. There's a lot of, we have waiting lists and so on, so that's not a problem.
And what's speech pathology? Because pathology means like a disease or of some kind. So, like, are we talking about someone that stutters? Are we talking about neurological quote unquote disorders or blocks? Like, what do you do exactly?
Mm. So what I'm working with is mostly language disorders and pronunciation, phonological disorders. So children that have maybe delayed speech, delayed language development, and for some reasons it can be autism, can be developmental language delay, and so on. So these are the cases I'm seeing the most, and just helping these children to gain age-appropriate language development, if possible, at least helping them to keep on going.
How does one do that? I would guess in your backend, you must have patience at first. And what kind of techniques do you use to teach those children how to speak properly?
Mm. Well, we have our, you know, professional techniques, of course, but if in terms of like what tech we are using, um, we are using screen sharing a lot. We are using online games. We are using, Hue. We were using Hue, this camera you can put on besides your, connect to the computer. And so we've been like really efficient with rather low tech methods. But and when it comes to like connecting to children, because a lot of people were like, oh, how can you connect to a child through the computer? It's like, that's never been a big issue, because we use the same techniques as if we were receiving a child in the clinic. Just engage in the child's interest and put yourself on the child's level and be open to the child's initiative. So these are all methods that we are using also online. So that in that sense, it's not that different.
Right. Yeah. Some people also tell me that, because I interview 15 SEALs a day via Zoom. Me first, I grew up behind a screen, playing video games in World of Warcraft and communicating from an asynchronous method, but I don't believe that much in the power of physical vs being in a computer. Like people are like raving about, oh, you get that person right in front of you. Well, other than smelling their bad breath and sharing their bacterias, I don't really see the benefit of that. It's so much more convenient being behind a computer, because I have a screen and I can control, like while I'm talking to you, I have your LinkedIn, I have your website. So, and my type of brain, some people call it ADHD, but I can listen to you without losing much information, and I can find the information that I want by looking at it at the same time and put everything together and come up with the right question. I don't think most type of brains are made for that, but yeah, definitely I see a lot of boomers commenting on that, and I'm guessing that next generations, obviously it will be with mobile. And if we dive even deeper, because I'm on my laptop right now, I'm not a super mobile guy, although I tend to use my phone a lot, for example, to educate myself and so forth. But the next gen, I think it's going to be really asynchronous communication. I think the future of teaching will be like through 3 seconds video, just like on TikTok, right? Like the most information package in 3 seconds. And here I'm not talking about videos that are super entertaining and dumb, like we see often on TikTok. But yesterday, for example, I was making a GIF of what I do in my company. And every second I flash an image, So in 30 seconds, I think I can communicate like the full scope of what is it that I do in my business. And I do think that is the future of learning. Just packaging as much information as possible in the shortest amount of time. People don't have 10 minutes. They don't even have 10 to 20 minutes to watch this podcast. That's why I recommend they listen to it times two. And obviously that would be really personalized, the education towards the end client. What do you think about these points?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like online meetings are much more efficient than meeting someone like face to face. Just as an example, when a child arrives in the clinic, like physically, there's always this time that goes to take off your coat and go to the toilet and have a glass of water and all this. And we are like, we get rid of all this stuff online, and all our meetings are like much more to the point. We're not wasting any time, like you said. Like TikToks, it's like the most current thing in the world today, and you can receive so many information if it's a good one through such a short time period. So I agree with you, but it's maybe a little bit different with children, because I think we will always need to give children a lot of time. And we're also seeing like children that are in front of screen a lot, like what are they missing? Like what are we, okay, we give them screen time, but instead of what? Instead of maybe more time with some kind of connection, which I think is vital for all kinds of development. But I agree with you. Yeah.
Tell me about the reality of children with speech impairment. What is it to live in their shoes?
I think it's a lot of stress. You can imagine spending a whole day in a kindergarten situation, maybe 8 hours per day, and you're not fully receiving and understanding what's going on. And you're also having difficulties with expressing yourself. So I think it's an enormous stress for the child. And then you have the environment not understanding you, and like constant pressure on like, what do you mean? What do you want? What do you mean? What do you want? All these questions that put more pressure to the child to express themselves, which they can't do properly. So I think this is it's so important that we educate all caregivers and everyone about this, about speech impairments and how to deal with them.
Wow. Yeah. It's like if I try to think, it's like if I couldn't think, if it's like if my neurons wouldn't fire the proper way and I would just not have the words to express what I mean. And yeah, people would stress me out, like trying to ask me questions and I wouldn't know what to tell them. So I'd just close down on myself in the end and I'd feel probably shame, and then you'd get in that negative spiral that never ends.
It's
Um,
exactly the point. It's exactly you're nailing it. This is exactly the point. And also you can also think of it as being a foreigner in a country where you wouldn't understand anything.
wow. So when they come to you, it does it feel good for them or does it feel like another chore and they don't know why they're here?
Oh, it depends. Usually they just love it from the very beginning because we are like really taking care of how we approach them and take care of this nice experience, because otherwise we're not going to make any progress. We have to make this positive relationship to what we're doing.
And there's
Um,
almost no punishment. Do you function fully on the positive side of things or?
yeah, I personally I do that, and I also want the session to be its own reward. So I'm not thinking about, oh, you have to behave and then we will get a reward. I want the session on its own to be its own reward. It's supposed to be so much fun, and we're doing so many things that are nice that I want the child to be 100%, happy within the session. Also because the child doesn't control what's happening. I mean, we're training, and but the child has not got control over what's happening.
He's getting through a program and it needs to feel seamless for him.
Yes.
And the rewards, what are they?
Just this connection with the therapist and doing something that's fun, creating joy. They are more like secure about themselves. And then, of course, the speech hopefully improves, but that's maybe not something the child necessarily notices unless they're like older. And then, of course, it's vital to discuss it with them. Like, do you know why you're here? Why you are here to see me? And we're going to work on these and these sounds. Or we're going to practice talking and so on. And I think that's also something which is very important for the child to get some insights in what's actually going on.
What does the session look like precisely? Because me, I can picture like gamification and the reward with being, oh, good job. First you understood what I told you, I understood you. So there would be a good job from understanding me and then providing me a second good job for providing me the right answer, and a lot of patience. But what does the session itself look like precisely?
So the session is, and of course, I'm always, endorsing, nonstop through the session. But like, say, a session with a 4 or 5-year-old child, I would start with playing a little game, like finding two pictures the same, or just a game where we each has to do. We are exchanging who does and rolling a coin and all this rolling a dice, sorry, and so on, just to like a little bit of warm up. And we can also have that after each turn, you have to answer a little question or name a noun or so on. And then we would start working on the goals that we have. Maybe that's vocabulary, maybe that is expression, making longer sentences. And this we do through pictures, through games, or through repetition of things. And yeah, so, and then in the end, we would maybe gather what we have been doing. We were doing this and this and this and this. So I don't know if that's like more precise enough, or
Well, it's a game, right? It's a child. So, and is it something visual?
Yeah,
So
we always,
you
yes, we
share
use,
your screen,
yeah,
like is it a
yeah.
software? Like how does it work?
Do you want me to share a
Yes,
game?
please do. That'd be
Okay,
fun. I can be
okay.
the
So,
child.
yeah, you can be the child. We're gonna play a game. So
All right.
let me see. Let me log in real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This is, for example, is where are you? Share screen, yeah. This is a site we use a lot, Ultimate
Mm-hmm.
SLP. And here are a lot of games. And for example, a typical warm up would be to find the bunny.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to practice nouns for the child to name nouns. So
Okay.
that's why I'm going to choose vocabulary here. Maybe I will just choose animals, or I could
Mm-hmm.
use something else as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to use animals today. And here we have all the animals. So
Okay.
we would begin with naming all the animals. Like here's the sheep, here's the seal, here's the cat. And do you remember what this is? Do you remember what this is? And we're like helping each other naming the names. I'm not putting the child on a beside up to the wall here, like you tell me what everything is, but we're like doing this together, naming all of the animals. And what animal would you like to turn the first? And then you tell me which one.
But I'm confused because there's no bunny.
No, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the bunny. The bunny is beside one of the pictures.
Okay, so I'm naming all the animals and then what?
And then we're going to choose one animal to turn and see
Okay,
if we
well, the
find the
bear.
bunny.
Turn
Okay.
the bear.
And then you would say the bear, and then I would repeat your sentence and prolong it by saying, yes, let's turn the bear that's standing in the river, something like
Okay.
this.
Okay.
And no, we don't have
Oh,
the bunny,
there's
we
a
have a
carrot.
carrot. hmm
Mm.
So we have to keep looking.
All right. So the llama.
The llama that's standing in the desert. Let's see if we find the rabbit. Nope, not there.
All right. The frog,
hmm
the butterfly, the cow, the turtle. Oh,
Yay, you
bunny.
found the bunny. Yay.
Nice. So do
So
I get a
this is an
candy?
example.
Like, does my mom give me a candy at this point or
No, usually not. Usually not. Not
a
this kind of
keto
stimulation.
candy?
Usually the bunny is enough reward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we play this maybe several times. We use different drill, different kinds of words, and so on.
Okay. Do you have instructors
You
or
mean
do
with
you
the
do them
child?
yourself? Yeah.
No, we always have, so our model is like the sessions usually take place within the school or kindergarten. So
Okay.
that the
On a
child is,
computer.
yes, on a computer, and the child is like always with someone like a teacher or
Yeah.
tutor and so
Or
on to
para
help.
scholar. How did para scholar? I think they call them.
Yeah, it could be a parascholar, could be a teacher or something like that that are with the child and help them during the sessions.
I think they called it orthopedagogist back in my day or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, that's interesting. And then how long does it take for them to get back on track, or do they ever get on par with other kids, or they constantly continue doing that?
Mm, if they are experiencing developmental language delay, they will continue lacking behind their peers,
Mm.
unfortunately. But we can help them, to get a little bit better in understanding and expressing themselves and so on.
Hmm.
But and otherwise, if it's like a speech impairment, like a pronunciation thing, articulation thing, it really depends on the child how long it's going to take to work on it and finish it.
Hmm.
Usually we work like that. We take 6 sessions in a row, like weekly, and then we take a pause for another 6 weeks, and then we we go again. So I think it's really important to take this pause between, also just for the therapist as well, because it is really intense. These are intense sessions, and that's maybe what's more the thing with online sessions, that they tend to be more intense in general than a meeting where you can, start talking about, I don't know, go and get your coffee or whatever. So with children, that's especially vital for them to take a break, and for the therapist as well to take a break. So at least for me, also because otherwise I will get bored with my client.
How much schools you work with currently?
Oh my gosh, probably like 10.
Okay. And how much do you charge them? Is it per year?
No, we charge them per session, and usually it's paid by government here in Iceland.
Okay. So it's like let's call it $50 per student session of 1 hour.
Oh, let me see. Per hour it would be how much? So hourly rate by the government is like probably $124.
Okay. Per student.
And then per child. But actually, and then sometimes the sessions are only 30 or 40 minutes, and then we have to charge accordingly.
Okay. That's
so
expensive,
that's not
no? For a child to learn, let's say that they have like 2 of them and they have one every day or every week.
Session.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually 1 or 2 per week.
Okay, so that would be 250 per student, and let's say that per school there's like 5 of them, so it's like that's right there, that's 5K a month or something like that. Yeah, that's quite expensive. 5K a month, 60K a year. I guess it's really much worth it for the government to pay for that. They'll gain taxes back on these productive citizens later on.
They should definitely.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing your model today, Tina. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, you can email me. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on social media as well, on Instagram and TikTok. I love talking about language development there. But probably you can just find me via email, tina@trappa.is, and our website is trappa.is, TRAPPA.is.
And I am Charles, host of CEO Wisdom Podcast.com. Thank you for tuning in.